The resume poverty trap is very real. I see people trapped in this all the time. Here are 3 ways to get out of that. One is to value words. Don't get trapped in the impoverished resume that only uses a few words because a recruiter says all they want is your bottom line metrics and that they'll ask you all the questions. Well, maybe they won't ever get to your door because your resume was so impoverished that you weren't interesting enough. You didn't compel them to call you. So don't get caught in that trap. Number 2, don't get caught in the trap that you just don't have enough to say, or that your experience prior to the last role doesn't matter. That will create poverty in your resume because probably back to almost graduation, there's something of value, a nugget of your who, what, where, when, and why you do what you do matters. And 3, you're not telling a story and you don't understand what story means. I recently talked with the client, and at the end of and our talk was our intake or our interview right before I start writing. So he's already gone through a deliberate couple weeks of process of building his worksheet through introspection, thinking through all of his career initiatives, his leadership traits, etc., and his achievements and why he's doing what he does and where he wants to go next and what motivates him and who he wants to attract, not just who what the problems are that the people he's trying to attract, but who he wants to attract and where he wants to work next. At the end of our conversation, he asked me a question I've never been asked in 28 years. He asked me if his story was a movie, what kind of a movie would it be? So I kind of rambled on because I wasn't sure quite how to answer it because I knew he had a lot of different elements of different types of genres. And at the end, he helped me sum it up by saying his story then sounds like it's a quest. And I loved that. So I might dig deeper into that in a future video because there's a lot of different nuances we could talk about what type of story yours is. But a story is such a overused word, and I love it because I'm a writer, that it becomes unclear what that actually means. So just dig into what that means, what your story is about, and why it matters, and what kind of emotion it compels in the reader to get them to not only contact you, but the right readers to contact you, and to kind of whittle out the audience that you don't really want to spend a lot of energy interacting with. Hope this is helpful. So how to not have an impoverished resume or to get out of resume poverty. One is, use some words and use some stories that build out those words. Don't let some feedback that tends to get a lot of airplay tell you that your resume shouldn't have words. And the second tip is don't get caught in the trap that your experience doesn't matter, or that your experience prior to your current role or even the last 10 years doesn't matter. It does. And it just has to be presented in a concise and meaningful way going for your go forward goals. And third is understand what story means and what it means to your resume, and spin your story in a way that is meaningful and not just formulaic. Hope this is helpful. Have a great day.